Kuwabara is a crazily underrated character in Yu Yu Hakusho, and to be honest, he might be the best character in the entire series. Here's the thing. In the beginning, Kuwabara is a regular human being with an incredibly weak and vague ability to sense the presence of spirits. He can't even really see ghosts in their entirety, he just sort of knows that they're around. And by the end, he is, arguably, the strongest human being in the series that's still alive. Introduced early on as comic relief on arrival to Yusuke, Kuwabara takes the initiative and travels to see Genkai in order to get better control of his spiritual power, and ends up competing in a tournament that unlocks his latent power, the Spirit Sword. I think a big fumble at this stage was not having Kuwabara train alongside Yusuke under Genkai's teaching, especially since Kuwabara was instrumental in defeating Rando, which is a really fitting name for this character. I mean, who cares about him seriously? You bum! He then becomes a core member of Team Urameshi alongside Yusuke, Kuwabara, and Hiei, and even defeats Byakko, the 4 Saint Beasts, on his own. It's easy to look back at the 4 Saint Beasts and laugh at how weak they were in the grand scheme of things, but at the time, they were a real threat and each had discernible powers that made them a danger to the human world. Even Kurama took a beating in this arc. His next fight is against the Toguros alongside Yusuke, and the two of them scrape a win with their clever use of spirit gun and sword, albeit Toguro was effectively throwing the entire fight in order for his boss to win a bet and get super rich. After this ruse was revealed and Toguro beats up a car park in front of Yusuke, the team were informed that they had been forcibly drafted into the Dark Tournament. Failure to take part, and failure to win, resulting in the deaths of everyone they know and love. Kuwabara then does some off-panel training with Kurama and returns far stronger and ready to take on anyone in his way.
This is for you!
Kuwabara continues to be trounced by Team Macho's snooty leader.
Yeah. Kuwabara's performance in the tournament is a mixed bag, but what's really impressive is that he manages to stay alive during the entire... Oh, shit. Never mind. Just kidding. Toguro purposely misses all of Kuwabara's vitals, and Kuwabara is smart enough to fake his death in order to draw out the latent power in Yusuke, who goes on to defeat Toguro. But this is all for another video. But anyway, Kuwabara's 2 key fights in the Dark Tournament are his victory over Risho with the power of love, baby, and his victory over the Elder Toguro. Credit to Kuwabara, these 2 victories are pretty epic and important in highlighting just how resilient and reliable he's become. By all rights, he should have been killed in both of those fights, but his determination and ingenuity meant he was able to hang on in there and earn 2 wins. After a brief reprieve at the end of the Dark Tournament, Kuwabara discovers that his powers have almost entirely gone. He believes it to be a consequence of using the Trial Sword, when in fact his spiritual awareness is now so powerful that, having sensed the oncoming threat from Sensui and the opening of a portal to the demon world, his powers have gone into a metamorphosis-like change and are currently hibernating whilst evolving. During a fight with Seaman, Kuwabara's dormant spirit sword returns as the Dimension Sword, a spiritual weapon with the ability to cut through dimensional barriers and pretty much anything else you can think of. This makes him the target of Sensui and his allies who wish to use his power to cut through the dimensional barrier, the Kakai.
It's the Kakai!
Between human world and demon world. So now, Kuwabara, the human, has one of the most devastating techniques across all 3 worlds, has defeated high-class demons, and has managed to keep up with the other members of Team Urameshi all throughout the series. And, most impressively, he's done this all while still being just a regular human being. He's not part demon like Yusuke, nor does he have any sort of special lineage. He's just a kid born with the ability to sense ghosts, which he's honed through hard training and constant battles to become the strongest human in the series. He constantly battles against stronger opponents with no hope of winning because that's just what he does. He's literally him. But also because he knows it's the right thing to do, and Kuwabara always puts the lives of his friends and loved ones ahead of his own. Let's also take a minute to look at Kuwabara's growth as a person. At the start of this series, he's a street tough, much in the same way Yusuke is. He cares mostly about his turf and rep and goes to school as a formality. It's only once he's pushed by his sister Shizuru into taking school a bit more seriously do we see Kuwabara start to knuckle down and study. At various points in the series, we see him doing this in his spare time before being called away to fight demons and such. By the end of the series, our favourite punk is on his way to college to fulfill his academic potential, whilst also learning to navigate a world that allows the crossing of demons, including Yukina. Now, let's talk about power scaling. It doesn't work. Kuwabara is destined for a human life and can't keep up anymore with the rest of Team Urameshi. Kurama even agrees that Kuwabara would not even have made it out of the preliminaries of the new and improved Dark Tournament. But this is where it gets tricky. I know I said that Kuwabara had the most devastating technique in the series, that being the Dimension Sword, but he still needs to be able to land a hit for it to be useful. It's like giving anyone a weapon like a gun. If you can't aim and fire accurately, then it loses its effectiveness, and it certainly doesn't just make you stronger by having it. I've tried not to end every sentence with, because he's him, he's the GOAT, that's what he does. But that is really just what it boils down to. And I hope I've just done a little bit to dispel the myth that he's like a useless character who just gets beat up and saved. That does happen, but he's a man about it, you know? Hopefully, I've changed some minds here. And if not, that's very arrogant of me. Why would I have to? Hopefully, I've shone a light on some of Kuwabara's achievements and we can all give him the respect and dignity he deserves. At various points throughout the series, characters will comment on how Kuwabara has grown as a person and in actual strength. And to be honest, he probably has what it takes to be a spirit detective on his own. I would watch that show, even though that contradicts my point about him being destined for human life. Ignore that.